does identify with them. When he's saying, I am still the God of this man, in spite of the way in which he talks. See? And that's the reason why Kidner can say the very presence of these prayers, the fact that God even keeps them in there, is a testimony that he understands. He knows how we talk when we get like this. It doesn't matter. He's still our God, is what he's saying. Because it says in verse 1, it's God who saves, not you. Why? God is saying, I am your God, not because you put on a happy face every morning, not because you say everything just right, not because you do everything just right, not because you always speak reverently to me in deference. I'm your God because I'm a God of grace. In spite of all the things you do wrong, I'm your God. We need that, to be honest. We need that. How liberating. And in my dark times over the years, that's when I've come to understand and really see the patience and grace of God, not in times of prosperity and happiness. So dark times can last a long time, first, both spiritually, dual darkness, internally and externally. But secondly, those times can be the best times to learn about God's grace. But thirdly, third point, it is especially in times of absolute darkness where not only you don't see God working in your life, but you don't see God working inside your heart either. You don't even feel Him present. Those times are perhaps the supreme opportunity for you to become someone great. When you're experiencing both darkness outside and inside, you're getting absolutely nothing out of prayer. You're getting absolutely nothing out of serving God. You're getting absolutely nothing out of it. It doesn't pay a bit. No benefit at all. And that's important. In the book of Job, which we're going to look at as a church after the first of the year, because we're going to preach through it with the other guys. And when we get through there, you'll see more about this. So I've been reading it, and of course that's why it's on my mind. But Job, the book of Job starts with Satan taunting God. And my word, he taunts God because he points to Job and he says, does Job serve God for nothing? And what Satan is doing is he's saying, he's not just pointing to Job, he's pointing to us. He's pointing to devoted believers in God. And here's what he's saying. Look at your devoted believers in God, says Satan. They're not really serving you. They're only serving you because it pays. They say, oh, I'm serving God, I'm serving my neighbor, I'm serving the poor, but they're only serving God and serving the neighbor because they're really serving themselves, because they know if they do all this, you're going to answer their prayers and you're going to take them to heaven. And they're going to feel good about themselves, and they're going to have your peace in their lives. They're not loving you, they're loving themselves. They're not serving their neighbor, they're serving themselves, because they help the poor. As long as they feel good about themselves, they can feel superior to other people who don't. That's human beings, says Satan. They're all absolutely self-centered. Totally. Even when they look like they're serving God or serving other people, they're really doing it for themselves. They're serving themselves. They're not loving you. They're not loving their neighbor. They're loving themselves. That's why the world is the miserable place it is. And I can prove it, says Satan. Plunge some of them into darkness. Plunge them into darkness. Don't answer any of their prayers for a long time. Don't give them any sense of your presence on their heart. Take away all their earthly comforts. Set things up so serving you and praying for you absolutely pays nothing. No benefits at all. And you'll see. They'll curse you. Because they're not servants, they're mercenaries. Wow. What an accusation by Satan. What do you think, class, of his accusation? He's basically right. Because that is how we start with God, almost always. Oh, we say, I want to pray, and I want to read the Bible, I want to go to church, I want to sense God in my life, because you have needs, you know? Because you got a problem, or you got this, or you got that, you want something from Him. But as soon as things start to get hard, as soon as things start to get pretty tough, and He's not answering your prayers, and things aren't going the way you want, you start to say, hey, I'm giving up things, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Why isn't God coming through for me? And we begin to show that Satan is right. So we all start with that kind of shallowness of character, because Satan is right about the self-centeredness of the human heart. But something has begun to happen to this guy. You know why? As bad as this psalm looks, as much as this guy seems to be really blowing, he's exaggerating, he's yelling at God, he's screaming, he's complaining, he's bitter, he's despondent, and yet he's screaming and he's bitter and he's despondent before God. Every single thing he does in this psalm is prayer to God. He's even to the very end where he says, "Your darkness is my closest friend." He's saying it to God. He is still with God. He's staying with God, even though he's getting nothing out of it. What does that mean? Satan has been defeated.